a lot, now you know I'm coming through. When the growth look good on you, best believe they wanna screw now. I've been trying to climb, devil threw me in the dark. Baby, don't be insecure, you can still go make a mark like blow. Could never let them drain my soul now. Blow. Table turning like doorknobs, wow. Blow. I think I'm about to set sail. I'm a walking, living legend, walking with my chest out. Life keeps dealing me cards, I keep feeling it.
What's going on, people? What is going on? It's G, and we are back in the building. We're here, guys. Please make sure, as it says, scroll across the bottom. If you guys make sure you smash that like button, make sure you share and subscribe to the channel. So we are here. We're here today. Just a quick one, hopefully, to talk about Liverpool game against Burnley. The match preview coming off the back of our defeat to Arsenal. Big game in the title race, you know, Liverpool, Arsenal, Manchester City, all battling for that big one come what may. Burnley coming into this game off the back of a 2-2 draw against Fulham. The previous game before that, I believe, was against Manchester City, where they lost 3-1 and they drew 1-1 with Luton prior to that. So, I mean, you know, Burnley have been Burnley this season. I think, you know, looking at them just across the entirety of the season, just in terms of, you know, games played and stuff like that. I mean, look, they're currently sitting 19th in the table. Don't really have a good record. Only won 3 games, drawn 4, and lost 16 matches this season. So, you know, they've lost quite a few games. They've lost quite a few games. They've almost lost as many as Liverpool have won. Liverpool has obviously won 15 games this season with only 2 defeats and 6 draws. Currently sitting top of the table as we speak, as this video is being posted out. But as we know, Manchester City do have that game in hand. If they do win it, they will go above Liverpool. So obviously, not going to call it a big game, so to speak, but to be fair, after any defeat that you do have, every game is then a big game, you know. And even for Arsenal, you know, just talking about them for a second, even for them, you know, to have that big victory against Liverpool, especially in this title race this season, for them to not win their next game, I believe it's against West Ham, you know, it's almost going to be like it was all for nothing, you know, that kind of thing. So it's going to be interesting this weekend. Hopefully both Arsenal and Manchester City lose. I don't see a loss really for either team, but anything can happen. Anything can happen. Who thought Liverpool would draw 1-1, you know, with Luton all those months back? So yeah, let's not write anything off at this current moment in time. And of course, we would just have to wait and see. But to the game at the weekend up against Burnley, should be a good one for Liverpool to be able to get back into the swing of things. Obviously, we know Jurgen Klopp. I think he's done his press conference already. So I've got like a couple of quotes and a couple of little bits that he's mentioned. Not everything is in its entirety, but just little things. So, as we already know with Thiago, he picked up, of course, a little muscle kind of injury after the game against Arsenal, where he played 5 minutes. I believe he got about 10 touches in that time. Klopp just mentioned in here, it's not nice, as he looked fantastic in training. And then, you know, he's had a new muscle issue. He expects Thiago to be available again this season. It's not a big injury, but it's obviously something. Now, obviously, I already know Liverpool Twitter, Liverpool social media, you know, when I wouldn't say into meltdown, it was. And you know what, actually, just speaking on that, I think what is most funny about that is that the fan base didn't even go into a meltdown. It was just like it was almost expected. It was almost like a little bit of a joke, and without trying to be disrespectful to Thiago, because we all know he's a fantastic player when he is actually available. But of course, he hasn't been. I think prior to that, I think his last game for us was back in April or something like that. In April of last year, by the way, you know, 2023. We're now in February of 2024. So it's been a really, really long time. He had a little bit of he had a big hip issue that he had to get sorted out. We thought it'd been sorted out. Now, I know I've seen a few people talk about, you know, when someone's been out for such a long time, you know, when they come back, of course, they might get a few muscle problems, muscle injuries, you know, here and there kind of thing. And I get it. You know, I see where people are coming from, you know, in terms of being frustrated, being annoyed. You know, someone who's on, give or take, about 200 grand a week at the football club, probably you would say I would like to say anyway, the first kind of world class or put into that kind of bracket player that we've signed, top level player, at the top of his game, at the time when Liverpool signed him, coming from Bayern Munich, winning the Champions League, for us to get someone like him, considering the other kind of signings that we have made who haven't been top class, but of course have turned into that. A lot has been, expected from Thiago. And of course, and I mean, this will be a different conversation for another day. Ultimately, in my personal opinion, he's been a bit of a flop here, if I'm being real. Outside of what, the 21-22 season, that's about it, if I'm being really honest, in regards to, someone like 22, 23, 23, 20, yeah, 20, yeah, 22, 23, yeah. 21-22 season, I'd probably say, in regards to Thiago, in where we really saw the best of him, what that looks like, and etc. etc. That's about it. The guy's been here about, 3 years now, and that's one season out of the 3 years. And again, we're not even talking about a player. This ain't like Curtis Jones or something where you're like, nah, he's mad young, hasn't been able to get into the team. This is a guy who, when he's been available, we've tried to always play him, anytime he's come back from injury and all this kind of stuff. For the fact that he's then got this little minor muscle issue, whatever it is that, Klopp's obviously alluding to, of course, people are they're going to be annoyed. Do you know what I mean? Because he is a very, very good player. So we want to see him on the pitch. We don't want to see him in the, in the basement doing absolutely nothing. We really want to see what he can do for Liverpool, out there. But unfortunately, he hasn't really been able to do that enough, during his time at Liverpool. So ultimately, I'll definitely say it's up there. I'd have to go through a list of players, but off the top of my head, he'd definitely be in the top 3 flops, for Jurgen Klopp, and it's so mad because it's not even coming down to pure ability. It's actually just coming down to availability. We used to get onto Naby Keita about his availability. I almost feel like this is even worse. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Because his injury has just been so long, and it's just been, just drawn out, and, you come back and then you're injured, it's just long. And again, like I said, I understand, in terms of, you've been out for such a long time, you do come back, you have, the muscle soreness and things like that. But I just think it's just a case of now with Thiago, it's just people are just fed up, if I'm being, 100% honest. It's just constant. It's just constant with this guy. So it is what it is. But he's obviously, of course, not going to be available for the game against Burnley. Spoke a little bit on Connor Bradley. Again, rest in peace to him. Condolences to his family as well. He's not going to be available for the weekend. The mental state of a player is not something that we should discuss in public. To be honest, the boy gets as long as he needs with his family. I think from next week on, he will be back in training, but there is no rush. And of course, I think, with such a sensitive issue, this isn't something where you're like, it's not an injury. Do you know what I mean? Where you're like, touch and go, maybe, all of these kind of, various different things. This is something where it is a little bit like, you know what, maybe we just, when he's ready, he's ready. And the thing is, he's young. Of course, I would not want anybody to have to go through, these kind of things, but ultimately different people will deal with it in different ways. Now, of course, he's a professional football player, so there's going to be more pressure, so to speak, than maybe just a normal civilian like myself, kind of thing, in terms of, there's the pressure to still have to go out there and do your job, even though, well, I mean, let me take that back. Everybody's still got that pressure, but you know what I mean? It's, especially where he's been in the team, he's been doing his thing, had some really good performances as of late, coming in, deputizing, for Trent Alexander-Arnold. I think more so the fans just really want to see him in the team. But of course, listen, he comes back whenever he's ready, at the end of the day. And, that's obviously something that's agreed with both himself and Klopp, himself and Klopp. So, yeah, it's just kind of a wait and see thing, with him. Klopp speaking about Endo. Endo is available. Besides that, we have a few problems. Thiago, obviously, of course, is not cool. He looked fantastic in training, played a few minutes, and then has a muscle issue. We don't know the extent yet. Really not good news for him. So Bozalai is back running again outside. And I do believe, I haven't got it up here, but I do believe Mo Salah should be back in team training, I think, as of next week. Potentially even the week after. But that's something that Jurgen Klopp alluded to. So he could be potentially, and then you guys can obviously see it. Would it be to the right? My left, your right, of the screen. I've got the next fixtures up for Liverpool against Brentford away, Luton at home, and then obviously, of course, the cup final on the 25th. So Yeah, I think maybe Mo's looking at it potentially to be available for the game against Brentford. Yeah, the game against Brentford away, down here in London, West London. But I don't know. Maybe just got to be a little bit cautious. It's weird seeing Mo Salah out with an injury, and the thing is, it's so mad because we've always spoken about, oh, Mo Salah is resilient. Yeah, I mean, that guy never misses games. Now he's missing a good few games, you know what I mean? And of course, he's missed games, for Egypt as well. And we need him back. We need him back. So hopefully he's able to, come back into the fold. And then, yeah, we can kind of just really and truly take it, from there. But other than that, we've got obviously the usual stuff. Obviously, of course, as I said, Mo Salah, Thiago, Matip, Tsimikas, Bajcetic, Ben Doak, Szoboszlai. There's a good few players out. Good few players out. Again, I don't really know the condition of Trent Alexander-Arnold. As far as I'm aware, he didn't really allude to it in a sense of, yeah, he's injured or whatever. I think coming off in that last game against Arsenal, and the time that he kind of came off, which was probably earlier than a lot of us actually thought. Yeah, I think that was just more something that had been, agreed upon, prior to the game. Look, you'll play this amount of minutes in the game. We don't want to aggravate it. We don't want you to, end up getting a long-term injury based off of that. And yeah, of course, with Conor Bradley not being available for the game, he had to obviously start that game. Maybe he wouldn't have started that game. Maybe he would have been on the bench and then come on, last 30 minutes kind of thing, to help us out if we needed it at that time. But ultimately, it didn't really pan out that way. So I'm going to say he's going to be available for the game. But again, I'm not psychic and I'm not 100% too sure what may possibly happen. But let's go to my lineup for the match. I'll just get this up now. Boom, boom, boom. Yeah, let's get this up. Yeah, you guys can see that. All right. Yeah, well, let's change that 4-4-2 first and foremost, because we know that ain't happening. Obviously, of course, as we know, Ibu is obviously suspended for the game. Let me just quickly put in Allison. So this is the lineup that I would go with for the match itself. There are a few questions maybe to ask, and obviously we'll get into them right now. So right back, I'm gonna go. No, you know what? Let's not even start there. Let's not even start there. Let's start Van Dijk. Let's just put him in there straight off the rip. Yeah, and Curtis Jones actually, I think, all going well, he'd be a definite start. I think those three, from what we have available at this current moment in time, those will be three players that we're looking at and saying, okay, these are the players who are more than likely going to be guaranteed to start this game. I know we've got Brentford coming up next, but if these guys are fit, they should be, in my opinion, starting this game. Who partners Virgil van Dijk? I think that's an interesting one. You've only got Kwanzaa and Gomez available in that position. It's against Burnley. This isn't the Burnley of old, might I add. So this isn't the, who's it? Barnes and Woods kind of attack where you're like, all right, well, these guys are going to be pumping balls in left, right, and center, trying to, get the ball to stick with the front man and stuff like that. I think with Burnley, I feel like they might play obviously Fofana up top. So I'm looking at it thinking that, of course, we know under Vincent Company, the way that they obviously like to play football, a lot of good football. And that's the thing. They have actually played good football. If you've watched them this season, I've watched maybe 2 or 3 of their games and I thought they played good football, but that's not meaning anything, but and Vincent Company is obviously learning a real lesson. It's going to be interesting to see what he does for the remainder of the season. But yeah, I think for this game, I feel like Kwanzaa should be able to come in. If I'm being, 100% honest, I feel like if he can't come in these kind of games, then what's the point? And we're going to need him. We're going to need him. Obviously, I know Ibi's only suspended, I believe, for 1 game, so it shouldn't be too bad. Now, left and right back. Those are the interesting spots. Now, obviously, I've not gone with Gomez alongside Virgil van Dijk, purely because I think Ibu will come back in for the game against Burnley. I mean, a game against Brentford that we've got next. And then, depending on how Robbo does in this game, just in terms of fitness and how he ends the game, I would go with Robbo as the left back because I would actually play Gomez in the game against Brentford, but I don't want to reveal too much, before we actually go through that preview. Right back, I've said it already. I think Trent should just go back in at right back. Again, you will have Gomez on the bench. So if there is, and the thing with having Gomez on the bench, good and bad, so to speak, because good because he can fill in either left back, right back, or centre back. If anybody gets injured, tired, picks up a knock, whatever, he can come on in literally any of the three positions or any of the four positions in the back line. So you've got one utility player back there. Obviously bad purely because, well, not even bad, but just because ultimately we don't have that many defenders, so to speak. I know obviously the Scanlons and the Becks and whatever can potentially come in, but where we would have had, say, if Konate was fit, it would be Gomez and Kwanzaa on the bench. Then you've at least got a couple man who can come on and potentially help out if needed. But obviously now we've only got the one guy there. That's the only kind of thing that I'm looking at. But again, that's not Gomez's fault. Ultimately, that's just it just is what it is. If I'm being totally honest, midfield. Obviously, he said Endo is back, so I'm gonna assume he's fine. I would go Endo in here. Right central midfield. Now, this is the interesting slot. This is the one where I was like, who do you go with? Now, obviously, Szoboszlai is still not available. And we have got that game against Brentford coming up. I'm torn between Harvey Elliott and McAllister. The only reason why is, again, like I said, we have got that Brentford game coming up. I wouldn't want to run McAllister to the ground, so to speak. And I feel that you're going to need him more in that Brentford game than you would in this game. So I'm going to go with Harvey Elliott to start instead. And again, like I said, you'll have McAllister on the bench. He's played a lot of minutes since coming back from his own injury. So it would be good to see him in this position, in that potential right central midfield position, be able to get forward, play those passes. And Klopp might play him there. I literally have no idea. Heck, he might even put him just back in the DM position, and then potentially play Elliot, in that right central midfield position. I have no idea, but I feel like I'm gonna go with Harvey Elliott there. I think that midfield should be enough at home to be able to deal, with Burnley. And then the attack. I know I did that video. Hopefully you guys saw the video that I did with Big Up Els and K-Mac, speaking about Cody Gakpo, his troubles and everything that he's kind of going through recently, and his kind of struggles, so to speak. So I wouldn't actually start him in this game, which of course only then leaves Gakpo, Jota, Nunes, and Luis Diaz. So really, you can kind of chop them up whichever kind of way that you want. I'll just go Diaz, Jota, and Darwin Nunes. Yeah, I think just with what's available, I believe that's kind of the only really front line that we've actually got. I mean, you could play Gakpo, to be fair, and again, maybe he might even then look at it as, I don't know. Again, is Nunes fit? Is Nunes okay now? Is he calm? He did obviously come on. He's starting on the bench against Arsenal. Should be okay now for this game to start from the off anyway. And again, if he's not feeling 100%, then you can always take him off for Cody Gakpo, who can also fill in that slot, or Diogo Jota, who can fill in that slot, or if you need to put him at right wing, or anyway, I think the front three can. I don't think that they have their, would I say, somewhat best positions in certain areas, but they can do somewhat of a job in other areas. So yeah, that's kind of my lineup that I would personally go with. Let me know, of course, what you think in the comment section in regards to who you would play. Would you play McAllister from the off? Would you play Gakpo? Would you play Gomez? Who kind of comes in, for you guys for your starting 11. So Ali in goal, Robbo and Trent, the brothers are back together. Van Dijk and Kwanzaa. In midfield, I've gone with Endo at the 6, Jones and Elliott. I think those two can work well together if needed. And then Darwin Nunes, Diogo Jota, and Luis Diaz in the attack. So that's kind of what I'm going with. That's how I kind of feel maybe he should go with. And then you still got, of course, like I said, the players on the bench. We know from our last game, we beat them 2-0. To be honest, we've had a pretty decent record against Burnley. I think the last time Burnley actually defeated Liverpool was back in 2021 when they beat us at home 1-0. So yeah, other than that, 2-0, 1-0, we've beaten them. 2-0 prior to that, 3-0 prior to that. So we've had a decent record against them. They've already been able to pick up that one victory. I don't envisage them with this team here. I don't envisage them causing us too many problems, but at the same time, I don't want to sound, too bullish in that regard. So, of course, we'll have to wait and see. And then we'll, of course, see how things pan out from there. My match prediction for the game, I'm going 3-1. I think they will score. Fofana, he's looking, I want to say necessarily looking good. He's just looking like he's got a bit more of a lease of life. Obviously, at Chelsea, and then he went out on loan somewhere. I think it was Union Berlin. He went out on loan. Things just weren't really working out for him. I just think with the way that Burnley play, it might suit his style of play, him being kind of the main guy there in terms of the attack. I feel like it might, and more of a presence. I feel like that's what Burnley have missed quite a lot this season, is actually just having a presence up top. They've been playing other players in that position, and I just don't feel like they're presence. It's almost, at times, I almost feel like you're playing with like a false nine, at times, So I feel like Fofana there, he'd be the one to get them the goal. And I've gone with Darwin Núñez to bag 2, which is new for me, and Virgil van Dijk from a corner. I think, that will probably be another good chance for us to, get some goals. But I do see them scoring in the game. Not because I think that they're amazing, but it's just one of those surprise ones. If I'm being totally honest, I think if Vincent Company can get them really up for the game, then that's where I see them getting a goal. Who scores first? I don't really know, but I just think we'll end up winning it 3-1, if not more. But that's obviously my prediction for the game. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below, please. And guys, as always, please make sure you smash the like, share, and subscribe to the channel. That's the match preview done for Liverpool versus Burnley. Make sure you guys keep your notification bells on. I will be obviously dropping my match reaction to the game at some point over the weekend, and potentially another live video for you guys to jump in next week. But if I don't see you guys before then, have a good weekend. That's match preview done and dusted, and we are out.